He's definitely brutal. He's always savage, and you're definitely getting wrecked.
Obviously, as you referenced earlier, the weird thing about AM Winter is when people see that you came second, they're going to think, oh, that was the last tournament with Device. So it was, but what's bizarre is he left before the semi-finals. You beat G2, the team that's beaten you at the major, even though you don't have Device. And then you lost to Vitality. Remember, at the time, Zebo was fucking like lights out every tournament. He was just like, he was like a 1.35 rating every fucking game. It felt like, you know, like, what happened in this tournament? Like, did you really just tear partway through? Like, how do you play a tournament, get to the semis, and then just find out, like, Device isn't playing, and then still win the game? What happened there?
Well, I mean, the thing is that the whole tournament was it was a good tournament. Like individually, Device had a really good tournament too. I think he had like 127 rating or something. So you know, like we had a very good chance of winning. And well, we played the quarterfinals and we like almost lost versus GODSENT, which at that point, like we should win versus them. And on paper, and like we almost choked that, and you know, it wasn't the best vibes after because yeah, we had to fix some stuff, and then but we had like 5 or 6 days break between quarterfinals and semifinals, or maybe that wasn't even quarterfinals, but between.
Oh yeah,
playoffs.
there was. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and it was during COVID, almost like COVID was kind of over, but not really. So.
If people don't know what he means by that, it means that, like, even though it wasn't like going on in the same way, like at the hotels, you all had to have like stay in the rooms and all that.
Yeah,
sort
exactly.
Of protocols and stuff, right?
Yeah, so we have like a 5-day break, and we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? We're like locked in a hotel basically, which like it really did suck. Like I don't know why they had such a. I get that they want to have the playoffs on a weekend, but at the same time, it was not healthy for the players to just be in the hotel. We were allowed to leave, but what to do during COVID era. But then, like, I just remember one day, Device, he's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. And then I'm like, okay, man, have fun. And that was the last I heard of him. Like, I haven't...
Whatever, that's the last conversation you ever had.
Yeah, that's the last conversation I've had with him in real life. I wrote him, I played FaZe against him, like, sometimes, and I like, wrote something, but, like, that was the last conversation we had. And, yeah, like, he went somewhere, like Jonah said, that he felt sick or something, and that we're gonna have to play with stand-in, and obviously that sucked because he was our best rated player and Device, you know. But we got Fousey, and well, we just told ourselves, well, guys, there's no pressure for us. We were playing with a stand-in, just play to have fun, and well, we played to have fun, and we managed to win versus G2, but Vitality was a little bit too much, as you said. Saiwu was really fucking us.
By the way, when that situation happened, I just want to get a sense of this, because what's funny is this is actually one area where people were kind of mad at me, which was after Device had been out for like a whole year, and then even worse, like towards the end of that year, the rumour wasn't even he's coming back to NiP, even though apparently that's what was going on inside the team. The rumour then became, I think it was like 6 months before he actually joined Astralis, mate, the rumour started making its way on the scene, like they're probably going to get Device and another player actually, like they're going to come back to and I remember thinking like, so what's he doing in the team now? At the time, no one knew that public thing that like if you put the player on bench or something in Sweden, it means that like the government pays his sick pay or something. There was some like clever angle as to why it sort of made sense in a weird way to do it, right? Especially if he was having problems. Like he told me he had anxiety attacks or something. But here's the thing. I was shocked because no one heard this part, what Hampus said, that inside the team, though, it wasn't like, oh, he's not in the team anymore, don't worry, boys. It was more like, he's coming back. Next tournament. I'll tell you what. Next one after that. Wait, after the major, he'll come back. Was it really like that? Were you just waiting forever for Device to return?
Yeah, I mean, like, so the first, like, when he left at Iron Winter, right, they were like, okay, he's gonna come back. I think it was like the World Final we played.
Right.
That was the last tournament of the year. I think they said he was gonna come back that tournament or the tournament after. But so he's like, okay, they're gonna come back, and then we get to that tournament, like, okay, well, he's not gonna be able to come back yet, and okay, so we go to next tournament, and it's just the same thing, and we can't speak to him either because apparently his doctor or something told him to not speak to us.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure if
Fair
that's
enough.
true or.
Okay.
But that's what like I heard, and I mean, like, everything is like fair, like mental problems or like the things he had, you know, is all understandable. Like I don't blame him. It's just I blame kind of the NiP management for making us believe that he's gonna come back. You know, because that's what it felt like. They like the sick thing is that they even told us that they had a meeting with him in real life. Like they went to Copenhagen to talk to him, And at that, when they said that, I was like, okay, he's for sure gonna come back. And then that thing with the rumor comes out that he's gonna join Astralis, and I'm like sitting there like, okay, what the hell is going on? And then he comes out publicly to write that he's not joining Astralis.
Yes, he did.
And then I'm like, okay,
he got like mad at the rumor or whatever. Yeah, true.
Yeah, then I'm like, okay, he's gonna come back soon,
Sure.
Well, okay, well then I guess he didn't come back because then he joined Astralis. I'm like, what the hell? That's kind of.
Was that when you found out when he just actually officially transferred? You were like, oh, I guess he's never. That was when you found out he's never coming.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
That's when I found out at least. Maybe the other guys heard earlier because I think I got benched before.
I see. Right.
But I mean, that the thing that was most sick is that they said that they had a real life talk to him. I'm thinking now, like, what did they say?
Yeah.
Because they said that he was gonna come back, but what happened, And I mean, I kind of heard the same thing as the Hampus said that he didn't want to come back because of some certain individual that you probably know, and I think I kind of believe that too. Like, it would make sense.
What about one thing before we move on, because obviously these players weren't in the lineup anymore, was the other thing about that year was even when you had Device, you had the situation where you had ZTR in the team. And then, as you say, the LNZ guy came in after that. And these were both like young Ninjas players. But what was weird was ZTR, I mean, people will now know this, is a fucking IGL. So that's weird to bring him in and then initially sort of let him IGL some maps. And then the LNZ guy just clearly was very, very inexperienced. Like, I could just tell from the game. Like, I couldn't even judge if he was good because I was just looking at the situations. Like, he just looked really nervous, mate. And looked like a lot of scenarios got to him. Like, if he was in a 1v1, people knew he'd probably lose it. So what was it like to play with these players? Because again, it's different when you're coming into NiP and they're like, right, welcome this guy in. He's going to be a top player. If you really think the guy's just waiting to basically be replaced by Brollan or later Device come back or something, it's going to change the dynamic, right? What's it like to have these young guys in the team when they don't know what they're doing necessarily?
Yeah, I mean, it's like this. Like, when I joined the team, they were like asking me what positions and stuff I wanted to, give me the resources and stuff. But it was not the same for when they joined. They basically just joined and got put in positions as basically reserves, maybe.
Yes.
Like, you could say they're just waiting to get replaced again, almost. And I mean, obviously, I think it's hard for them to come into a lineup, get all new positions, and to be able to perform at tier 1. Only some players can do that. But I think we noticed pretty early that they weren't ready for it, as Hampus also said. And I've kind of felt like that whole I don't know how long the whole roster change thing happened, like how long it all lasted, us changing players all the time. But I feel like that kind of slowed us down as a team. And I feel like, I don't want to say waste, but almost like wasting some months of our progression, because we just kept changing player, trying out a new player that wasn't ready, trying out a new player that wasn't ready. And then we had to just redo our strategies and, stuff like that, just holding us back constantly. And all during this time, we were still thinking that the Device is going to come back, and he never did. And then, yeah, we also got Ezetag that he didn't speak Swedish when we got him too. So, I know that really irritated some people. And yeah, Hampus already said some things about that. And I feel like that also, Ezetag is a really, really good team player. He plays for the team.
Yeah.
He's a really good support player. But taking in someone that doesn't speak Swedish in a Swedish team, it's not the same as taking Device because he spoke Swedish. So that also kind of felt like it was slowing us down, because he had to learn Swedish for some months before we could actually have good communication, But yeah, I mean, in the end, I don't have anything bad to say about those players, because they're good people and they're good players. But I just think it was all it wasn't the right time or choice in that moment,
Yes. One other thing, and this is why it's so crazy to find out that you guys didn't know if Device was coming back, or even worse, that you thought he was. Because, mate, when Brollan eventually joins, on the outside, we were all supposed to go, well, Device is bench, so it doesn't matter. I'm just thinking now, if Device could have come back in and Brollan's there, mate, that team could win a major, right?
Definitely. If we had Brollan and Device at the same time, I think we would have. We during the Stockholm major, or those type of majors, not to take away anything from LNZ, but if we had Brollan instead of him, I think obviously our chances would have been much greater, because I mean, Brollan is just a straight up better player, and yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate that they didn't get him earlier. I don't know the reason, because I think like when Device joined the team, I think one thing that was said, I don't know if this is like public or not. I don't think it's public. But one thing that was said is that if it's not going well for the team, that they would sign Brollan within 6 months.
All
or
right.
something like that.
Okay.
I don't think they told all the players, but I got told by someone. I don't want to say the name, but yeah, and that's what was told. But then after like 7 or 8 months, they signed S-Tag instead of Brollan. And I mean, I don't know what Device was thinking, but I think he was probably expecting Brollan. That was maybe like a part of his deal, to get Brollan in the team eventually, But then they didn't get Brollan, so maybe that was also one thing that maybe didn't make him so happy. I don't know. But yeah, eventually they got Brollan, and I wasn't sure if they were gonna bench me for Brollan or what was happening, because I heard rumors that, like I knew that they wanted to get Brollan, obviously because I was in the team, but then I heard rumors that he was gonna replace me, and the day they bought Brollan, then Crims goes on Twitter and he says. He said that, oh yeah, Plopski is gonna get benched and Brollan is coming into NiP.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck? I remember I like responded. I'm like, huh? What do you mean? Because I didn't like.
Sure.
How does he know more than me? But yeah, I mean that didn't happen. I think who did they bench? I don't remember.
Maybe it was LNZ or someone at that point in time.
Yeah, it could have been LNZ. Yeah, it was LNZ actually. And then we got Brollan, and like we did much better than I thought we would, considering we didn't have an AWPer. Like
Sure.
I think we put S-Tag to AWP, and he's not a main AWPer. Like he's always been like a hybrid kind of player. And but I think we did well considering that. We qualified for the Antwerp major.
Yep.
We even got to playoffs. We play versus FaZe, and we even got a map of a FaZe, and they went off to...
You could have won this match as well, mate. This was the one people remember. Rops did that famous fucking round on Inferno. If that round didn't happen, that like 2v5 or whatever, it might have been 2-0. You might have been in the semis of the major.
I think we were up like 8-1 or something, even on Inferno, like the third map. I'm not sure, but we were up by some margin, so like we had a really good chance, and then I don't know what happened, but we lost. And then I think after that tournament we didn't really have the same. It wasn't really the same thing after that.
How was it possible, though, that you guys had all these results, despite the fact that it's never a finished roster? In fact, even worse, sometimes the roles don't even work. Like, obviously, there's that angle where, like, you've had the young ninjas, and then when Device leaves, then, as you say, S-Tag's open. He's not even an AWPer, but the team's still doing well, somehow making placings and going to land playoffs, etc. Right? Within the team, does this imply that, like, the rest of you had, like, a good mindset or something? Or were you just, like, working day to day to day and match to match? How did you do it? A lot of teams I know would sort of, like, this would be the best excuse to just go, fuck it, or just be mad, or get sad and morale drop. How did things stay up? How were you able to have these performances?
I think, like, as a team, as a whole team, like, we had a good structure. And, like, behind the scenes, we did pretty well. Like, as you said, even though we had like all the young ninjas people, like we were still constantly making playoffs. Like the story of my career, but we were still making playoffs even though we changed players all the time. And I think it's because we had a good structure, and we built like kind of we built up our team to be good, like that we don't lose easily against anyone, and that we would we always won versus teams that were like lower ranks than us. Basically, we only struggle against the big dogs like FaZe, Navi, those type of teams. I don't think we had enough good structure or maybe even the right pieces to beat them, but we always had enough pieces to beat the rest of the teams to constantly make playoffs.
Why was it? Because I know the results went down a bit, but it's not even like they went to the absolute bottom. They just were, now it's like the team might miss the playoffs every now and then. What was the circumstances that meant you got benched? How did this happen?
Well, I mean, I can take the whole, like, from when it started to going worse for me.
Do it.
And, I mean, Hampus already said it a little bit, but coincidentally is when Hampus joined the team. I don't really know why. Maybe... I think the thing you said too is that, that maybe I didn't demand enough or, had the resources. And that is kind of true. I think that that's the one thing that kind of backfired from my career is that I didn't demand that much at that time. I didn't have that big of a voice. So when they told me like, okay, we're going to put you in these positions, which was worse for me, I didn't like say anything. I just kind of accepted it. But if like I had maybe a bigger voice or demanded more, then I could have maybe changed that. But I didn't. So I kind of just went okay with it, and I think that.
Is that a regret you have?
Yeah, that's one of my regrets, definitely, from my time in NiP. That's my biggest regret, actually, that I didn't demand more, or that I didn't want more resources. Because when I joined the team, playing with Get Right Forest and all of them, I had like some of my positions that I wanted to play, and I felt like I played really well. And but at that time, I didn't demand that much either. But now when Hampus came in, he had a much bigger voice than me. And he wanted to have positions where he felt that he could use that voice more, and that was sadly my positions. So he kind of got most of my positions, and I got put into more supportive roles, which is where I don't really fit that much. Like looking back at it now, it's not like I would have said no, because if the team think that we're gonna win by putting me into support roles, sure, let's try it, But then I was just kind of stuck in those positions for like 1.5 or 2 years more to come. And well, I think we still did well as a team, but me individually, I never really came back to the level I joined the team in. And it started to hurt my confidence and stuff like that. So yeah, it was like a kind of like an evil spiral, just becoming worse and worse for me individually. And then eventually some stuff happened to me in real life. I mean, Hampus already said it. My parents got divorced, and like, sure, maybe people don't think it's the biggest deal, but we were like a really close family, and
right.
It kind of hurt, So like all of those stuff just came like crashing down a little bit, came a little bit worse. But then I think it was my last tournament with NiP, which was either Pro League something, and I kind of felt that I wanted to bench myself because I thought it would be better for myself to find something new, and that maybe better for the team to find someone that maybe fits the supportive roles, because I felt like I didn't fit like the roles that were needed for the team. But then before that, we lost 2 or 3 games in Pro League, and we were already out. So we had still 2 more games to go. But DJL came to me and he's like, okay, we're gonna try something. We're gonna try res opping, and you're gonna get also res positions.
Right.
And he had the positions I wanted.
All right.
Well, fast forward, I didn't get his positions, and then I got benched. So they told me I would get one of his positions. I didn't get them, and then I got benched. But I mean, I was like fine with it because I felt that I kind of wanted to bench myself, even though it may sound like cowardly. I think it was still the right thing to do for me to find something new, maybe, because I didn't feel like I fit in anymore.
Right. Obviously, this is something Hampus talked at length about. He's just a different person. As he said, he's in some ways non-Swedish in some senses, right? He was telling all the stories, right? In your case, I wouldn't ask anything ridiculous. I would just say, you don't have to mention it. You could say management if you want. It's easy to put that label on. Spoiler, if everyone's watching the review, they know anyway the story. But what I would ask from your perspective is, like that story you told there, where it's like, yeah, and you're going to get these spots here. Narrator, he in fact did not get those spots and was benched. Like, these stories sound like funny now, but I bet in the time it's really frustrating when you're getting told one thing and then another thing happens, and then you're told devices coming, but they doesn't come. And it's like, we get a Brollan, well, we don't get Brollan, and then we got S-Attack, and then he doesn't speak Swedish, and then now Brollan's here, but then device isn't here, and then it's like, fucking hell, like, I never get a moment to... Was this a similar experience for you? Did you feel kind of like the communication from management or some of their decisions, was it weird to you?
I mean, like, from an outside perspective, my parents and my friends always told me that, like, they didn't know if we were just an unlucky team or what's happening, because it never felt like we had a complete 5-man roster that like all fit in the positions and that were all staying for longer than 2 months. We all always changed someone, or maybe we had to play with a stand-in, or Device had to leave, we had to play with another stand-in. Okay, we're gonna get Brollan. Never mind, we're getting S-Attack. He can't speak Swedish, so we have to teach him Swedish. Takes a couple of weeks, months, or whatever. There's always something. There was never just like, okay, now we're us 5, and now we're gonna play. The closest we had to that, if you don't count when I was playing with like Get Right and Forest and them, that was a good time.
Oh, sure.
Now, like in the forward time, but the closest we had to that was actually when we played with the LNZ and Device, during the major and the IM Winter or IM Fall win. That was the closest I think we had to like a good team. But then we also played with an academy player, So it all just kind of sucked. And I can understand from an outside perspective, is like, what's happening in the team? I felt like we were just constantly being fed like false promises, like, okay, we're gonna get Brollan, okay, this and this and this, and then we have to play with academy players for a whole year, and it just it was really draining. It was really draining.
There was a period in time after this where you almost played in like the NiP rejects team because it was you, Drake, and ZTR. It's like, what the fuck is this team? Like, you guys just know each other, you just reconnected?
Yeah, I mean, after I got benched from NiP, I took some time off to just like, reset, gather my thoughts. But I knew I wanted to still play CS. But I told myself that if I'm gonna play in a team again, I want to play in my positions that I used to play in, because those are the positions I felt most comfortable in. So I think I started to talk with Heaton, which was like at that point, I think it was like an investor or something in GODSENT, and he said that they were gonna start up GODSENT again, like make a Swedish lineup. I mean. And then, we created the lineup with me, Draken, ZTR, Rusty, and Joel.
Yeah.
And Golden as coach. And we had that was a pretty good, solid 5-man Swedish lineup for that level. I think we did quite well in the beginning. And then, then it was also the kind of unfortunate thing about what happened with Joel, as you already know probably what happened. Yeah. And then it's like, oh man, I can't catch a break. Okay, I went from NiP playing with academy players and changing lineups all the time, and now I am playing in a team where one of our guys get benched because he's match fixing. Oh, okay. Now we have to change players again, and we changed Joel, but we also changed Draken and Rusty. So now it's only me and CTR left, and then we have to build a new roster. And then Golden is coming back as a player as well. And then we're getting a new roster. We're getting Hype and Bob XD, and Hype was like a really good Swedish op prospect in that level. And then we play with Hype for a month, and then he's like, "Guys, I'm gonna retire from CS." And we're all like, "What the fuck?" Okay, he's gonna. It's not like he's just gonna take a break. He said he's gonna retire. It's like, okay. And I think now he's like an analyst or something. But it's kind of weird because he was so talented, and then I guess he just didn't have motivation for the game. It was also around the same time CS2 came out, so maybe something like that. And then, okay, well, we lost our next star, and then we have to start over again. Then ZTR gets benched. And then, it's like, I felt like I never could catch a break. But then after ZTR got benched, we had Golden as IGL. And we took in Era and Rolf. And I felt
the people
like,
who play with you now, if people don't know, yeah.
Yeah. And I felt that that was finally a lineup where we could play, where we could actually do something now, like not benching people and stuff like that. And also the lineup where I found myself playing better again. It took some time. Like in the first lineup with Joel, Draken, and Rusty, I didn't do that well. But now with the new lineup, I started playing to my old level again, and I started playing like good every game almost. And it felt like really good to be back. It took a little bit longer than I hoped it would, but it felt really good to be back. And well, now GODSENT didn't have enough money to keep us, so then we all got benched again. And now Golden is in another team, and well, I'm out looking for a new team again.
What style of in-game leader is Golden? Because this is obviously when he's already played in the big team. So what's he like to play under?
I mean, Golden is like one of the best IGLs I've played with in terms of like being a raw IGL. Like you talk about Hampus, like he's also a good IGL, but he's insanely good individually too. Like, but Golden is like a really good IGL and leader. And I think that's what was the best thing about him, like his working ability to become better each day. Like he just wants it so much, and you could see that like he works so hard coming up with new things, and he really helped me to kind of find myself again. Him and my coach I had at that time called Keve. Those two really helped me to get back on my feet, if you can say so. And I think just Golden like I kind of feel like now talking about it, I've played with like every big Swedish legend almost. It's kind of funny. But yeah, he's definitely a really good IGL, and he taught me a lot. And yeah.
After this, there was the thing this is when people might have heard of you again at like the bigger level of CS, because there was this tournament last year. This is like some out of a movie, mate. So there's a Swedish cop, and NiP Swedish, right? So they've got to go, but obviously they have 2 Danish players, right? Because they have Esatag and they have Config, but they have Res. So they have to bring in 2 Swedish players. They make this lineup and go to this cop, right? Look, obviously that's not the traditional NiP lineup, we know that. But at the same time, like those other 3 are like top pro players, they're all getting big salaries and stuff. If you're NiP and you go to a little Swedish cop, you better win the fucking Swedish Cup, because anything except first, you're going to get mocked, right? They not only didn't win, you got to play them directly and you popped off. Like, this is like I say, it's like a scene out of a movie or something.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of the best victories I've had in a while. I mean, even though they play with 2 stand-ins, I mean, one of them plays in the main team now, Maxter, joined the main team, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and he had been playing with NiP for some tournaments before that too. So I feel like they were still a good team. And I mean, yeah, like I think everyone was just really hungry to win, because we had Era that's also played in the academy team.
Right.
So like we all kind of just felt that, and then Golden had also been standing in NiP, so we had all like something that we just wanted to win versus NiP. And for me, I was thinking the day before, I'm like, I just don't want to play shit, I gotta prove to myself now that I'm gonna play good versus them. And yeah, I did. I played really good versus them, and that felt really good afterwards, winning against them. Like, we were just like celebrating very hard, even though it was just the quarterfinals. But we still got far. Sadly, we didn't win the tournament, but winning against them was really big for us.
Right, this is a tricky question to ask, because obviously Hampus at the end of his, I mean, what's so hilarious, if you know his personality, is I didn't even take it out because I thought it's funny. He even says in it, like, you can just take this out if it's not allowed. And then he just tells that story about how actually he wasn't even going to come back to like an NiP. He was just going to make a Swedish team, and they had like a team that was going to sign you, and you were going to go and have like basically what everyone's been saying for last year, like, why doesn't someone make a Swedish lineup that is good? Were you going to be in this team? Was this what this lineup was going to be?
Yeah, well, funnily enough, there was a Swedish team that was going to be built, and well, sadly, the organization that they were going to get didn't have enough money, which I kind of expected. Like, some of the players the names you heard that I talked about, like,
it's like the best Swedish players, basically. It was like
they
everyone
had
that
big
he'd
buyouts.
want.
Yeah, and it was. It's kind of funny though that Hampus said, like, I didn't really watch that part, but some of my friends said that he got asked to build his like dream lineup or something, and then he didn't have me in it, so that was kind of sad.
Because you're supposed to be boys, right? You're supposed to be like friends who've been together your whole careers or whatever, right? In a way.
Yeah, but I mean, the lineup was gonna be us.
It was a pretty insane lineup. I can't lie, it was good.
Yeah, but it was gonna I was supposed to play with him,
Right.
So I was like, why are you not mentioning me, man?
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it would have been really fun though I think we would have done a lot of damage, like
Sure.
being that lineup that we're supposed to be. But in the end, it didn't happen, and I mean, I kind of expected it to not happen, but you still want it to happen. But yeah.
Because along those lines, like, look, I don't want to be BM. I can't be like, and do you hope you get picked up to nothing? You're playing in the current team. What if your teammates watch just like, oh, thanks, mate. I'm trying to have a career together, right? Obviously, you're in a team right now. You're happy. Everything's good. But I'll phrase it this way. You are only 21. In fact, I'd actually argue, even though you might feel cursed, in a way, for a 21-year-old, you've had a lot of experiences. You've had a lot of fucking gone around the world, played with all these legendary players. You've been in major playoffs. You've beaten some of the best teams. You're still so young in terms of experience, like youth rather, but in terms of experience, you've got a good few years under your belt. Like, do you feel as though like this is like chapter 1 and there's still a chapter 2 and 3 and 4 and there's a rest of Plopski's, like, you're going to go to the top again? You're going to be a top player?
I definitely feel that way. I feel like I haven't done like even though I've been in the scene for like, okay, I started in Existence, maybe, which isn't the best team, but like, I joined my first pro team, if you can say that, when I was 15. That's 6 years ago. And as you said, I've played majors. I've been in playoffs in like almost all the big arenas, I think. So I've been through a lot, and I feel like I haven't done what I want to do. So, and I'm still so young. So I feel like I have much more to give, and I feel like I haven't even been in my prime or anything. I still have a lot to give and to get a lot better. and I think it's only going to get better. Like, it's kind of funny that some of the teams I've been talking to, they're like, yeah, we're looking for an experienced player, so that's why we're talking to you. And I'm like, but I'm only 21, so it's kind of funny that they say that, but it's understandable though, because I would say I have a little bit of experience,
And then look, it's okay to say something now and change your mind later, but if people have watched the interview and they're pulling for you now and they've heard your story and then the movie, they want to know how it ends, does he succeed? If you get back to a top team, you're going to actually play your roles and your spots, and you're going to do it your way, right? You're not going to get pushed into a support position, right?
Yeah, I've definitely learned that. Like now, I don't want to ever feel that way that I felt in NiP, like having that regret where I just kind of got pushed back and didn't say anything. Like now in GODSENT, I demanded resources and I demanded the positions I wanted, and I never felt better. Sure, it wasn't the best level we played against, like we weren't playing as the best teams, but I was still consistently putting up numbers against every team that we played against. So I would definitely, like, the next team I'm gonna join, I want to make sure that I have the positions I like or are comfortable with. I mean, so that's definitely my goal.
At the end of this interview, do you have a final message? I mean, you sort of gave a bit there. Anyone you want to thank or say hello to?
I mean, I could just say, like, thank you to all the people that are still cheering for me, even though I haven't. I've been gone from the scene for a while, like the top scene, and people are still cheering for me and hoping for me to get back to the tier 1 teams. And yeah, I mean, thank you to those people.
Tack så mycket.
Tack så mycket.
In this esports world, it can seem like everyone's against you, but I've always got the Illuminati, my Patreon community, riding with me. And it is thanks to the support of the following people, this video and all of them on my channel are made possible. Matt, Pugnatio, Rajcula, Ahmed Hadjou, Frisky, Tosh, Jensen Goh, Animosity, Torin, Tobias Bernasconi. If you've ever watched my videos, you know now I'm going to give a massive shout out to Jerky's Minion, the main man. Do you want to suggest a topic or a guest for my content? You want teasers? Find out who the upcoming interview guests are. Maybe you want to ask me a question. I tend to answer them at length in my video AMA. Do you want to take part in one of those dinner discussions where we talk about what you're interested in esports? Well, if any of these perks or more appeal to you, put your money where your mouth is. Join the Illuminati today, where in the description box below is a Patreon link.